Hey everybody, Jimmy here with the Triple C Collective for Superhero Saturday. Today we're jumping into episode 2 of Peacemaker. So let's do it. First episode, not a fan. Was a really tough hang. It was a really tough hang. Didn't enjoy it that much. Left that episode asking the question really more so, why did Peacemaker get a show? Why do we care about anything that this like scumbag needs to do? And then the introduction of his dad didn't make like any of that better. But introduction of the White Dragon through his dad and all of that, who's like this big like racist guy in like the comics and stuff like this. Then he was a straight up Nazi in the comics and everything. Just a horrible dude. But I get it. It's part of like who Peacemaker is and the troubles that he has with his dad and stuff. So I get why they put it in there, but like at the same time, like we could be told about this. We don't need to see Robert Patrick's White Dragon, his dad. But episode 2 picks up exactly where episode 1 leaves off. Peacemaker in his tidy whities with his sonic boom helmet in the parking lot where there is a crater and a body that is soup, basically. I mean, to say that this movie isn't over the top in the fact of like it's got really crude language, really harsh language, but it's got also like a glorious amount of over the top gore. Like at the end of episode 1, like my favorite part was the closing 10 seconds when we saw the lady get exploded at the end of episode 1. That was just such a cool shot of like, oh. And so again, seeing this episode, seeing the aftermath of all of that, it's really cool. I like when shows do a really kind of tight timeline where you can only tell at most that either a couple of hours or a day or two has really kind of passed in between episodes and stuff. I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm way into that. I've always just really liked that, like having quick consecutive stories like that. And then we get John Cena calling Harcourt. Her caller ID wakes up his dumb shit, which is awesome. He's screaming like, "What the fuck is Project Butterfly? What is this? What is I was just sleeping with a girl and then she attacked me, and I'm not trying to make you jealous, but like she threw me around. She picked me up and threw me around like a Cabbage Patch doll," which is great. John Cena's performance is really good. He does a really good job as Peacemaker. I still don't think he deserves the show, but John Cena is really good at Peacemaker. Like there's just sometimes when people are cast like the right way, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Chris Evans, whatever, as Captain America, Ben Affleck as Batman, all that stuff. Like Jason Momoa as Aquaman, awesome. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, great casting. Like these people, those actors and actresses, they were meant to play those roles. So here, at least, one thing that, despite not really being a huge fan of Peacemaker, the series so far after episode 1, is that I do say John Cena does a really great performance. He's shocking me the same way that Dave Bautista did in Guardians, because he also was, just a big wrestling guy when he came in there, and I don't know, Dave Bautista's Drax is one of the funniest characters I think I've ever seen on like screen. So like I love everything. I love everything about it. And we're kind of starting to get that a little bit from Cena here and all of this stuff. We also have Harcourt then getting out of her room, dressing down the hallway. A guy gives her a weird look as she walks by. She's knocking on Adeo, Leota Adebayo. Adebayo, I think is how you say her last name. Leota Adebayo's character with her wife Kia. You got Harcourt knocking on their window, being like, "Hurry up! Peacemaker killed the butterfly. We gotta go." So I do have a question. For this, I'm wondering if butterflies are all metahumans, or if there's something else like aliens or interdimensional creatures or something. I don't know. Um, because I can only assume that this is still in like the same world of the DCEU where we have Zack Snyder's like Snyder cut in there. So I can only assume that we've got like Dark Side out there. We've got the Green Lantern Corps and stuff out there. So, I don't think it's a stretch to think that that butterflies could be like aliens or extraterrestrial creatures or whatever. But I don't know. Maybe they're just metahumans, and it is a. I mean, maybe butterflies are part of hive. Even maybe they're throwing in some like hive stuff in here to where they're all interconnected that way. Then I don't know. It'll be interesting. There are some questions that I do have, and I am interested in some things that the show has offered. Not all the things, but some of them. So that's where like I, I almost didn't want to continue this on, but I was like, you know what? I put up one episode, stick with it through the whole season. You never need to go back if you don't need to, if you don't want to. It's like, all right, cool. So that's what I'll do. Um, then we have the title sequence. Again, the title sequence really off-putting. It's really weird. The lack of emotional expression during the musical number at opening the episode or in the title sequence in both episode one and here and probably going out throughout the rest of the show is so weird. It is, and I was talking with some other friends in between watching episode one and two, and one of my buddies was like, that's a real anime thing, is like the lack of like facial expressions and dancing in a title sequence like that. I was like, oh, okay, anime is a little out of my wheelhouse. We're going to be adding anime any day here to the Triple C Collective, starting with Star Wars Visions once Book of Boba Fett wraps up. So I'm pretty excited about that. So maybe I'll have a better understanding. But like if that's like I was told that was a nod towards anime, and I just didn't get it. I wasn't in on that joke, or wasn't in on it, so like I didn't get it. So I find it very like off-putting, and I still find it off-putting, even though that it is a nod to like anime or anything. It's just weird. It's just weird. There's no facial expressions, and they're dancing like a musical number and stuff. It's crazy. It's weird. Eagly comes in at the end of it too. This whole show is weird. But as I've watched, like episode two, I will say just overall, even just like being like 5-10 minutes into the episode, I was enjoying it a lot more than the first episode. First episode, I think really I had to get over the fact of like they gave Peacemaker a show as opposed to anybody else. Because I think Ratcatcher Polka Dot Man could be more interesting of a story, or at least I would like see that all day, watch that all day. Um, so we get back to after the title sequence, we get back to Peacemaker escaping the apartment. More or less, we're here for like the next like 10-12 minutes of the episode, and it's really great. Like we get a bunch of like these intercuts. Like we get a couple of shots of Peacemaker trying to get dressed up in his Peacemaker costume. We also have Harcourt and Leota showing up to the apartment building. We have the cops showing up to the apartment building. But Peacemaker, Peacemaker, as he's getting dressed, he does say, he's like, where are my socks? Damn it, Dad! And like, because his dad made his like costume too tight. And once we have Leota and Harcourt show up at the apartment, they have a really interesting conversation, and Harcourt doesn't spell it out. She's like, what you have in there, that's pretty dangerous, you shouldn't do that. She keeps some distance between them and what we do here, because there's no guarantee of safety or anything like that. So that was really interesting to both see and hear. because like we know like and I thought it was kind of weird in the first episode too that Leota was one married, which was great, that like, and that she was the daughter of Amanda Waller. Like all of that kind of stuff was kind of crazy as a reveal, but also really cool. And so with all of that, it was really weird to see like Harcourt. Like you would have expected her, I guess, since this is her first job, like in this area working with like Amanda Waller, you would have expected her not to think that the mission would be safe for her significant other and her dogs, as we find out the one likes to dress up in a little costume. Um, and Harcourt's like, no, yeah, that dog's just willing to humiliate itself for your love. It doesn't actually really like the costumes, which is great. And I mean, I gotta say, like my two favorite things about this series so far have been Harcourt's character, or Harcourt, the character of Harcourt, Amelia Harcourt fan club, and then Danielle Brooks is Leota Adebayo. She is like, those two are just by far the most interesting people that the series is, or that the show has offered us thus far. Actually, I'm also pretty fond of Myrn. Myrn is a very interesting character. I also don't think something's fishy with Myrn a little bit, because usually people aren't. I don't know. I think something's fishy with Myrn. If Leota is Amanda Waller's daughter, Myrn is something else, for sure. Um, once Leota and Harcourt arrive at the apartment building, we get a cut back to John and Myrn at the HQ. John is tasked by Myrn to change the registration, fingerprints, everything that associates Peacemaker with that car and everything that's going on with that apartment building right now. You switch it to somebody else. And John's like, no problem, I can go ahead and do it. We get a cut back to the apartment. The cops arrive and they're like, wait a second, why is this possum here? I thought there was an explosion. And it's funny because at the end of the first episode, we see Eagly get released from Peacemaker's car, goes flying, kills a possum, and just drops it there in front of Peacemaker. And so the possum is still there, and they're just wondering why this possum didn't explode from this, if it was clearly in the vicinity, or if it wasn't in the vicinity, how it got there. And then we have Detective Song, the woman detective there. She's like, I hope this isn't some cape shit, because like now it's also really interesting. As much as like the DC movies, even the Marvel movies, like they all talk about like the events of like capes and all that stuff that like happens in it. But the beauty of the shows is that you can get a little bit more interpersonal with them. Like you can have Detective Song say like, I hope it's not cape shit. I just don't want to deal with that right now. Like there's other things I think we should be doing, or we could be doing better than like dealing with cape stuff. So like I just find that interesting that even now we're starting to see the world expanded a little bit more in a different way of seeing your average human citizen within this world being like, oh man, this is don't like it. So it was great to see this. I do love expanding worlds, and I do love seeing how the world of superheroes and stuff do affect other people in their day-to-day life. An example, we get it here with Detective Song, and like not wanting to deal with it and everything that she said. So it was just really cool. It was really great. It was really good. It was really great. No cape shit is what they were looking for. We get a bunch of intercut shots now of like Peacemaker kind of like between the Myrn and John stuff, the cops, the Leota and Harcourt stuff. We get Peacemaker kind of being intercut in and out of like doing stuff in his apartment. We get the cops. We also get Detective Song and her partner telling another local sheriff authority person to put that down because they are picking up what appears to be could be skin, or at least Detective Song says she thinks it's a face. I didn't see it have a nose though, so I'm not sure if it's a face. Um, and for any of you that don't get that, that's from Scary Movie. Sorry. Scary Movie franchise. I think it's actually the fourth one, possibly. But it's a really funny bit. Anna Faris is talking to her neighbor, and it's like, last night I saw a face, and it's like, oh yeah, did it have a nose? She's like, well, yeah. And it's like, it sounds like a face. So Detective Song is like, officer, put that down. I think it's a face, a human face, and it doesn't dawn on the officer at first because it's like, what, a human face? What are you talking about? And then the officer's like, oh, human face. So the officer puts it down. Then we get Leota and Harcourt pulling up, parking right behind some bushes, kind of spying from their car and everything like that. We have another conversation of Leota is I mean, they were just woken up abruptly, in the middle of the night and stuff. So like no one's had like breakfast or anything like that, and that's what Leota starts doing. They're like, we need to start getting this, and she starts just naming food, like different breakfast foods, like yogurts and cereal and fruits and like all of this kind of stuff. And it's really funny because Harcourt just like looks at her and is like, what? What are you talking about? These two, I like their relationship because I think they're trying to like mold a buddy cop kind of between Harcourt and Adebayo and Leota Adebayo, and it's so great. It's just so great. I mean, if you got stuff like that, you almost got to put like that buddy cop dynamic in there at some point, right? Or at least have it a little bit between like two people. And I love that they give it that, like, Harcourt's character, Adebayo's character, they're great. They're great together. They're great on screen. Like, I don't know. They're definitely my two favorite characters to be watching. I know I've already said that before. With like Leota Adebayo's character, Danielle Brooks, like her performance in it was great. I freaking love it. I hope she's getting a bunch of like accolades. I really hope other people are like recognizing her as like the talent that she is, because she is extremely funny. And it's not just like her line readings, like it's line readings with facial expressions and body language that she puts into it. Like, she's great. She's so much fun. In this conversation, though, after Leota describes that she's hungry, Harcourt asks the question, like, why is Peacemaker having sex with a butterfly? Like, why would he do that? Why would he, like, why would he humiliate himself that way? Why would he do something like that? It's kind of weird. Why, like, what makes you want to go with a butterfly? And to be fair, at this point, we don't know what a butterfly is. All we know is that this woman that Peacemaker slept with last night started roaring kind of like Cheetah and attacked him and threw him around like a Cabbage Patch doll. So we assume that she's a metahuman of some kind. And we don't really know what butterflies are. It's all still kind of shrouded in mystery here. So it is interesting to see that this conversation is interesting because it asks questions that we as the audience don't have answers to yet. But it seems that Harcourt and Adebayo and the rest of Peacemaker's team all kind of have that inside knowledge, that insider information, if you will. So yeah, it's all really weird. And then we get Peacemaker, cut back to Peacemaker again, stealing like a what looks like almost like a Google Home kind of like tower looking device type thing, like one of those old school ones. Um, he has something like that. It has some ancient runes on there that are lighting up blue and everything. And then we've got him grabbing like cookie cutters. Ooh, I see cookies in somebody's future and stuff. So it's really weird that he's taking like all these random like trophies from here, because then he also takes a pair of the girl's underwear and like sniffs it. That's really weird. Um, and he then gets a call or calls back to Harcourt again, and Harcourt says there's a ton of cops out there. Whatever you do, do not look out like the front window. And what does he do? He looks out the front window to see all of the cops, and Harcourt's like, "Why did you do that? Did you not believe me? Did you not believe me? Why are you doing this? Like, you dummy!" Cops start coming into the apartment building. Obviously, they say, "Whoa, hold on. There's a figure up there. Did you see that? Who is that?" Cops see it. They move in. Leota's like, "Oh man, my heart's beating. Is your heart beating?" And Harcourt makes the funny joke like, "Yeah, it never stopped." Because obviously, if your heart stops beating, you die. And Leota's just saying that her heart is beating extremely fast as opposed to her normal rhythmic beats. And it's just like again, it's that performance, that like face that Leota, like it's almost panic attacky, but it's excited panic attacky. um and it's just so great to see. Like, she's so good. She's so good. I freaking love it so much. um and then we get the cut of Leota talking about how her heart's beating. We get a cut to Peacemaker almost getting pinned in between floors 5 and 6 in a stairwell. Gets out into floor 6, starts like trying to open up different apartment, and he finally gets one. Amber and Evan opens it for him. He pushes his way through. He's got a knife on Evan, and like he's kind of like taking over, like, taking some hostages from him. And this is a really awkward but funny scene. Like, um, Evan's like, "He's a professional, honey. Look at him. He's all dressed up and everything like that." Um, it is very uncomfortable in the fact that then she Amber, Evan's girlfriend or wife or whatever, like kind of starts like getting hit on by Peacemaker, and like she's into it. And Evan is getting all like mad and jealous and stuff like it, and it is hilarious. This whole scene is really funny. It's really uncomfortable too, but it's also really funny. And the additions of Amber and Evan here are really funny and are really great, and it was so funny. At this point here, I can easily say that I am having way more fun during this episode 2, than I did during episode 1. Then we get a really great bit here of balcony escapes. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Peacemaker, as he was running through that butterfly's apartment, taking all the records, cookie cutters, that little Google Home device type thing. He gets told then by Harcourt to jump out the back window and jump down the balconies and escape to their car. And so that's what he begins to do. He starts tossing his bag down from balcony to balcony, jumping from side to side, kind of making sure that he's not seen just going straight down, basically, but also at the same time, those balconies wouldn't allow him to go straight down. And so it was really great. It was a really cool bit. I do have a question here, though. How the hell did none of that stuff break? Because he put that stuff into like a pillowcase, like a sheet or something, like a hobo tying it to a stick or whatever. So like I just don't see, like, there's like easily 10 feet between each balcony, like height, like from where he's it's probably like 15-20 feet actually, between the top of the balcony like railing that he jumps to the floor of the next one. Easily 20 feet. I don't know how how that stuff in that bag isn't breaking, unless the cookie cutters are like a rubber kind of cookie cutter. Then that would make sense. But the records and like that little device, Google Home looking thingy, that stuff should have broken. That stuff should totally have broken and like shattered or whatever. So I don't know. We don't get any cuts of like the noise or anything like that. He There is one bit though when he falls onto one of the landings of like the balconies. He's down and he's laying there and he sees this little kid and who like he waves at this little kid who's just staring out there at him like, where the why is there a guy out there, kind of thing. We get Harcourt and Leota seeing Peacemaker jump down the balconies and everything like that. They are Harcourt is about to leave to go give Peacemaker backup because he clearly needs some help. Leo's like, "What do I do? What I can help? I can help. I can help. I can shoot a gun. I can do whatever. I can do whatever it is that you need." And Harcourt comes up with a great comeback. Cool your jets, Jason Bourne. I need you in here to make sure that we can get out when I'm back with him. Like, that's what I need you to do right now. And then as Harcourt's running away with her gun, out of bio, Leota out of bio, is like, oh, that being a wheelman is also dope. I got you. Oh, man. Leota steals the show. Hashtag Leota steals the show. She is so good. And then we get so good, but I'm a little behind on my time here, so I want to move up a little bit. Then we get Peacemaker versus the cops versus Harcourt, and Harcourt wins via just shooting all of the cops in the neck, because we see Peacemaker gets to like the final landing of like a roof that he would then jump off of and then be on like the leveled ground of like the backyard of the balcony of the apartment building. So he gets there. The backup for the police that Detective Song and her partner have been calling go to the around back to the building. They see Peacemaker and they're trying to arrest him. And so they see Peacemaker trying to arrest him. And then this is when Harcourt shows up. Harcourt shows up with a tranq dart gun and takes out all of the cops. They all fall. And then Peacemaker and Harcourt run away. Detective Song and her partner start shooting at Leota, Harcourt, and Peacemaker as they are driving away. Or as they're getting into the car, driving away. The car gets shot up pretty good. A couple of windows get taken out, some bullet holes in it. And then Harcourt tells Peacemaker if the bird, if Eagly, poops in the car, it's gonna be, his ass. Like, is that thing house train? And Peacemaker just responds, "You can't house train an eagle without stealing its soul." All of that was really, really funny. It was all really, really good. Then we get a cut back finally, going back to the Peacemaker team HQ. We get Myrn coming out of the bathroom asking John about what happened, and John's like, "Who's got two thumbs? Switch the IDs and the fingerprints." Myrn's like, "That's not exactly how that works, but yeah, okay, well, show me what you got." And then we get the Peacemaker's dad being interviewed by the police, and this is another tough hang. We get Robert Patrick's White Dragon, the father to Peacemaker, is a real racist dude. He is Detective Song, who is Asian American, is knocks on the door, asks the question with her white partner. And, right off the bat, like, Robert Patrick's just like, "I mind taking questions from you, him, not so much." And, like, Robert Patrick calls her, a really derogatory, racist name. And, like, man, it's just a tough hang. He's a tough hang. And I am so happy that we only really got this little bit of him. I mean, we get him a little bit more towards the end. which is also a really tough hang. But I'm glad in this episode, I felt like his dad was in like half of that first episode. In this one, he's in like 5 minutes, maybe total of a 40 or so minute episode. So that was really great. That they really limited him and his hate and his disgusting like speech and all of that stuff. Like we don't need that. But Peacemaker's dad, White Dragon, gets asked like, "Are you dressing up again?" And like Peacemaker's dad's like, "Yeah, I bet you would like that, wouldn't you?" And I don't know, in a comment, "That's my son." And and then as Detective Song's leaving, she makes a comment about like using a fork. And her partner's like, "Why wouldn't you tell him spoons? Spoons, babies eat spoons." And she's like, "Everybody uses a spoon." "Yeah, but that racist dickhole doesn't know that in there, that everybody uses a spoon. He would totally have taken it that you're calling him baby or anything." And like, it's a really funny and interesting conversation, because it's like that heat of the moment comeback kind of thing. And like, I'm not good at that. I'm not witty enough to usually come back with the zinger. So it was really funny because I probably would have said something like a fork comment back or something like that. And so I just found that very funny. I found that very funny. I found that very relatable. Then we cut back to Peacemaker's arrival back at the HQ. Myrn is pissed before Peacemaker walks in, being like, "We're trying to get Peacemaker on our side. We're trying to make him happy and be a part of this and everything like that. And you go and frame his dad? Why would you do that, John? How is that a good idea? How is that what we needed from this?" And John's like, "I am judging by the magic that I just pulled off here that you were a little mad, and I don't know why, because what I did was magic. It's magic." And it was really great. It was really great. And then Adebayo and Harcourt and Peacemaker walk in, and Adebayo is like, "Oh my god, we just got shot at. Have you ever been shot at? I just got shot at." And again, it's like her performance is just so good. It's so good. Like, I don't know if that's like really the response that I would have wanted. I personally find that to be the perfect response, but like, I don't know initially if like being in like the room of like making this whole series and stuff happen. I don't know if that would have been my direct play for her, but it was so fitting and it works so well and it's so believable because of the way that she was just talking about like the breakfast and stuff at the beginning of it. And being a wheelman, I got you and stuff. Like, she's so great. I love it so much. John and Kamos and Peacemaker are having a conversation. We get a confirmation of Batmite into the DC extended universe. Wild, awesome, dude. James Gunn, if you give me a Batmite sighting in Peacemaker, that'll be cool, man. That will be cool. That might be enough for me to like go from like as I am on this show to like loving it, because that would be the deepest cut that I never would have expected. Ever. And never would have expected the confirmation to come in Peacemaker either. But I guess this show is just wacky enough and weird enough that like I don't question it at all. I'm just happy that Batmite's a thing, that they acknowledge that he's a real person in this universe and stuff here. This is great. We also get John saying that he'd rather work with Harley Quinn or the Weasel again, which was really great, really funny. Because Harley Quinn's just a crazy wild card. Like, you can never expect the same thing from her twice. And then we get the uncomfortable thing here, because Harcourt brings up like, "Hey, I think we have a rat in our team, because the butterflies are getting information leaked. Like, how would that butterfly have known that Peacemaker was after her or anything like that?" and they all kind of go around the room like, oh, it's not me, it's not me. Like, or Harcourt does the breakdown of like why she doesn't think anyone, or why she thinks certain people weren't a part of it or who could have been a part of it. um which is all really interesting. She says that like she believes uh what does she say? She believes that it wasn't John because John's too big of a pussy to betray them. Doesn't think it was Peacemaker because he was a part of the problem and like getting shot at. Doesn't think it was Myrn because Myrn was the one who brought the butterflies to us, which was something else. Because it's interesting because like Myrn says that Amanda Waller gave him this team, but here it looks like Myrn might have had the topic of butterflies brought to Amanda Waller, and then she was like, "Here's a team that can work for you." So it's kind of interesting to see about that, like how that whole thing like shakes out and everything. Um, then we get Harcourt then pointing to Leota, you know, Adebayo. What about her? None of us have worked with her before. She's the one who's the newest member here. We really don't know much about her. We don't know if we can trust her. She's the biggest question mark that we have right now in this. And I think that's very interesting. I mean, Leota Adebayo denies it, but there's two things here. We know that she is talking to Amanda Waller. So is Amanda Waller trying to mess up this this mission that they've got going on secretly? Or is it Kia? Is it Adebayo's wife? Adebayo, Leota Adebayo's wife, Kia, who, you know, who I think is an interesting character. I'd like to see a little bit more of her than like what we've gotten so far. Just because it's the only character that they're giving us like with a family and like a home life in that sort of aspect where everybody else appears to be single. So like I'm really interested in seeing how that that relationship and how that affects like the effect of the show has on that. I'm interested in see what happens there. Then we find out Peacemaker left the dossier out on the bed, and the woman that he was sleeping with, the butterfly, saw it and was reading it and then attacked him. And it's like, oh, so she was a butterfly. This was a completely random act, and then she saw the dossier that you left out, and that's why she attacked you. Okay, great. You're an idiot, Peacemaker. You are super dumb. Then Peacemaker has another conversation with John, and he's like, oh my god, am I going to be turned into a vampire dick because of this? And John's like, no, you're just a dick. No vampire, just a dick. And, Peacemaker seems kind of hurt by it for the first time. Then after that, we cut from the HQ back to Peacemaker's home, and this is where we kind of see a first time like turn in the world of Peacemaker for him, where he empties out his bags, the device falls out, the records come out, all not broken, not shattered. I don't know how. I feel like that's a lie. I feel like we're being lied to. Tosses it all down. He has a little bit of a breakdown here on like the floor, couch, or whatever. He starts crying. He's like, everybody hates you. He has that flashback of like Rick Flag, what a Peacemaker, what a joke. We get Peacemaker's like, John would be your friend if you'd stop being such a dick to him and stuff. And it's all really really good stuff. It's all really good character background. Like, I get the idea that he feels like kind of sorry. He kind of has a little bit of like second thoughts a little bit right now, of like what he's been kind of doing in life, if he really believes like the oath that he's taken, especially since a lot of people have been being like, dude, your dad, awful person, probably shouldn't associate with him. Like, get it, he's your dad, Probably shouldn't associate with him. Probably shouldn't. Drop that like a bad habit. Then we get Vigilante showing up. And Vigilante shows up, and I couldn't really recognize him in the first episode when we see him as like the busboy at the diner where Peacemaker first gets the dossier in episode 1. But it's the guy who played like McLagan or whatever in the Harry Potter movies, and I think it's in like the 6th one, the Half-Blood Prince, where where like Slughorn comes back, teaches potions. Snape is Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, and has his little parties. And Hermione takes the McLagan guy because he's like fawning over her to like the Slughorn party and blah 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 blah. And he's like, he's the guy who's smitten with Hermione in that movie before her and Ron get together. Spoilers. And it's really funny because like in that movie he really just kind of like facial expression kind of acts. I'm sure he might have had some lines in like deleted scenes, but he really doesn't get to do much in those movies. And like this is where we get a chance to really see him like kind of flex his acting muscles a little bit, and he's really great. He's really awesome. I love his character. It's so weird because we get a very different version of Vigilante here than I've ever seen before. But I like this version of Vigilante. I think it's a good version of Vigilante. And this whole conversation of when Vigilante pops out from the window and it was like, hey man, like just kind of knocks on the door. Like everything about Vigilante is just weird, awkward, and it's awesome. But Vigilante and like have a really interesting conversation. Like Peacemaker's like covering up his eyes. He's like, "Is your dick out? Why's your dick out?" He makes like a really bad Louis C.K. joke and stuff there. He like Peacemaker's like, "Vigilante, why don't you just use the front door like a normal person?" Like. He's like, well, you know, I saw some lights on. I didn't know. I wanted to come around back and see if anyone was being sneaky, doing, like, Vigilante doing the exact thing that he said he wanted to try and stop people from doing, which is funny all in itself. And then Peacemaker denies crying, saying that he's doing face muscle exercises to, like, contort his face and, like, do those kind of muscles and stuff. Oh man, it's great. We get a cutback to Leota bribing Evan and Amber in the hallway, and it's really, really funny. Danielle Brooks is so funny. I'm a huge fan of her. Jennifer Holland's Amelia Harcourt, also extremely funny in this. Like, they're both my two favorite by far. But the Leota bribing Evan and Amber in the hallway is great because Evan's like, oh, I was hoping you were coming to, like, bribe us or something. And she's like, no, I'm not here to bribe you. He's like, oh, I really wish you were. And she's like, no, I'm here to bribe you. Yes, I'm here. I'm here to bribe you. Again, really great bit. We get some more, like, Evan and Amber going at it. Like, they're a little arguing and stuff, which is great. We get Vigilante back at Peacemaker's, and they're at Peacemaker's house, and they're having a really great conversation. They're having a conversation about best friends, and Peacemaker's like, it's Eagly, not you, dude. You know, we can't know each other's names or secret identities so that people don't use you to get to me because I've done some messed up stuff, Vigilante's saying. Vigilante starts kind of putting away, like, helping Peacemaker clean up his mess. Finds, like, random movies. He's like, oh, goes to the movie rack, goes to the CD rack over there. Like, what are you talking about? It's so simple of where these things go. He finds what I can only assume is, like, a fleshlight type thing, which is funny all in itself. Because he's like, oh, look at it, it's like a little happy face, and he starts moving it up and down like that, and it's a funny joke. It's a funny gag there. And then we get Peacemaker really talking about his feelings. This is the first time where we kind of peel that onion, that first layer of the onion back for any of you Shrek fans. of kind of seeing a Peacemaker being a little bit more than just a horrible person who just kills, you know, anyone and everyone. And so it was really good to see this conversation, to have this conversation, to have him. This was the first time from the Suicide Squad episode 1 and now almost nearing the end of episode 2 here, first time where I actually felt like Peacemaker was like a decent person instead of like a horrible human being. Like up until this point, like I really kind of didn't see a difference between Peacemaker and his dad other than racism, because they would both kill whoever, whatever, it doesn't matter. They all of that would be like kind of happening like that for either one of them. So I kind of didn't understand. I never understood why Peacemaker deserved his show, but I guess now like the idea is that there's going to be a redemption for Peacemaker. He's going to have this huge turn where maybe he probably still does agree to kill people, but he has to know that they're bad guys. And he may take kids off the table. I don't know, because he kind of seems like messed up a little bit about that. And like his whole pledge and vow that he's made, he's really having a crisis of faith right now. And Vigilante's like, dude, don't worry about it. We just kill bad people, man. Unless there's a mistake, you know, bad information, and we hit the wrong target. And it actually goes on this like laundry list of other things that they could do to make mistakes for killing the wrong person as opposed to the right one, which is all very, very funny. I find it all extremely funny. And the last thing Vigilante says, he's like, you know, we just killed the bad people unless there's bad information, makes that joke. But, you know, there's one thing that we haven't done yet in a while that I've been saving up for. I've been saving a lot of appliances. And then we go to, and I was like, appliances? Like dishwashers? You know, like dishwashers, refrigerators, you know, washer, dryer for your clothes and stuff? Like, what are we talking about here? And that's exactly what he's talking about. Out in the woods, I can only assume somewhere behind Peacemaker's house or somewhere else, he saved a bunch of appliances, and they start having a range appliance shootout destruction time, and it's so much fun. It's so cool. It is it's so great. It's over the top. They make like smiley signs and Peacemaker signs. They blow up things with dynamite. They have a dynamite war, which is very reminiscent to me of like the gasoline fight from like Zoolander, of just like, oh, why are you doing this? This is such a bad idea. I understand they're fictional characters, but this is such a bad idea, even for fictional characters. Like, come on. We get a cut back to Peacemaker's dad's like arrest. We see Evan and Amber after the bribe from Leota Adebayo's character. Like her bribing them, then Amber and Evan in two separate rooms fingering Peacemaker's dad as the guy that they saw in the apartment. Leota has the tough conversation about Kia about maybe going someplace safe, and Kia is not happy about this because she pushes away from the table and is like clearly visible mad. It's really interesting that they take away the dialogue, but if you play the episode with subtitles, they give you the subtitle dialogue because you don't really hear it because there's music over it, and it's meant to be like one of those like very somber kind of sad moments that you get. This actually really reminded me a lot of Dante's Drive and Clerks 2 when Smashing Pumpkins 1979 plays, and he's just kind of driving around figuring out what he needs. In Clerks 2, Dante's driving around figuring out what he needs to do with Rosario Dawson or Jennifer Swabach's character, like his fiance or the girl he just got pregnant, in that, and like what to do and who to be with and all of that kind of stuff. And like, so this here felt a lot like that. Then we get we do get Kia saying like, you dragged me out here. I wanted to stay where you were, but you said we should do this. And Kia's pissed in that dialogue, and like Leota's hurt. Like she knows that it's not necessarily the greatest thing in the world. We get a shot of Peacemaker, Amber, and Vigilante post sex three-way in a bed, and they're smoking a joint. Well, Peacemaker and Amber are smoking a joint. Vigilante makes the joke like, ugh, if this was 3 years ago, I'd shoot you both in the face. I can't believe they legalized it. Because that's like who Vigilante is. He kills bad people, even if it is just smoking a joint. Doesn't matter. You broke the law. Like, the law is the law, and that stuff. And that's kind of like Vigilante's like thing. Um, then we get Peacemaker passing the joint to Amber. He grabs the little like Google Home looking device with the runes kind of on it that are like glowing blue. He grabs it and it turns into a little spaceship. It like transmutates or whatever, does the science fiction-y thing, like, and goes from the device to like a flying ship almost kind of thing. And it's like, am I right? Are the butterflies really aliens? Like, are we getting like some crazy alien invasion thing here? Like, because that's the first thing that I mean, it could be a device that somebody on Earth made, like, sure, and I could be going crazy train off the rails by saying that it's aliens, but maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't know. They truly haven't given us anything about butterflies. We've never even seen one in the show. They haven't really given us a definition of what it is yet. I can only be led to believe that they really want to reveal it and really show us what a butterfly is, what it looks like, and all that kind of stuff. Maybe we'll get it in episode 3. Maybe we'll get it in episode 4. Maybe this is like the MacGuffin of the whole thing, and we won't see it until like the end. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. But we get then we get a cut from the Peacemaker Amber Vigilante 3-way scene to Peacemaker's dad entering general population of the prison. You see a couple of people be like, oh my god, look who it is. I can't believe he's back. So you almost think that at this point, if you didn't know Peacemaker's dad was White Dragon and this horrible neo-Nazi racist person, you almost think this dude's going to get jumped here because he's had a history. But what happens is even the more disturbing thing about it is that Peacemaker's dad goes up to a black man just sitting in the ray of light on a bench. And Peacemaker's dad, the White Dragon's like, this is where I sit between 5 and 7. I like the sun on my skin or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And a bunch of people, the black man's like, I'm not moving at first. And like, what are you going to do about it? And then he looks up, sees that all the white people in the room are looking at this dude, and he's like, I'm not dying over a seat. So the black man gets up and leaves. We get all of those white guys start coming around White Dragon and lining up and then kneeling in front of him. We get a cut to Detective Song like, hey, wait a second, I thought like that cape shit only went to Arkham or Bell Reef, which is a great little name drop, again, knowing that these places are real within the DC extended like cinematic universe. Like, because my thoughts and feelings on everything here since Crisis on Infinite Earths on the CW is that it's all connected and it's all a part of it. Whether I'm not whether Peacemaker right now is taking place on Earth Prime or one of the many Earths in the multiverse, I don't know. I don't really care, because I'm cool with just having it all happen, even if it's all on different Earths. Like, I don't know, as a fan, I get the idea of a multiverse and all of that stuff. It allows, you to always honor what came before, but also then change for the future as well by doing a multiverse. Like, they're bringing in Michael Keaton's Batman again and stuff. They're putting Ben Affleck's Batman into that same Flash movie, and now Michael Keaton's moving over to the Batgirl movie and stuff. Like, this is cool stuff that they got going on. And like, so like, I don't want any of that stuff to be erased with the new things, but I don't want the new things to be bogged down by the old either. So I like the idea of just throw it all out there. You gave us the multiverse already with the Crisis on Infinite Earths and the rebirth of it that we got. So like, I mean, I don't know. In Crisis on Infinite Earths, we saw a minimum of 52 new Earths get like reborn and stuff, and like reshot out into the universes really shot out into the world. So like, why not just lean into that? Like, we've already been told that Robert Pattinson's Batman is on Earth 2. Like, for any, I mean, we can keep Zack Snyder's Snyder verse in its own little universe. We can have it be the architect for the whole thing. It doesn't matter. It's all so cool. There's so many options. But a crowd forms, and then they start doing Hail White Dragon and doing like the Nazi salute to him and stuff, and it's a hard hang, it's a tough hang. I really hated it. I really hate the White Dragon. I hate the Nazi stuff that we're seeing in it. It's dumb. Being a Nazi is dumb. There's no good thing about being a Nazi. You are dumb. You are dumb if you are a Nazi. If you are racist, you are dumb. There's no defense for it. Get over yourself. So like I have a really hard time with it, and it is very off-putting. And it was, again, after this episode, like ending it here, I'm like, I don't know. I liked episode 2, but I'm still not hooked into like I need to watch episode 3 right now. I gotta watch it. So I'll really that's really all we have, except for the end credit then. And the end credit scenes that I've really liked so far, I mean, we've only gotten 2 so far. I hope they continue it for the whole 8 episodes that we get. But this is an extended, a little bit extended, funnier scene of Amber, Peacemaker, and Vigilante in bed after the 3-way. And it's just, I'm sorry, no, this is Amber and Evan, fingering Peacemaker's dad with the cops. And again, we get a little bit more of that Amber Evan like fight arguments between them, which is really great and awesome. I love it so much. Again, I like this episode. Don't love the series yet. 2 episodes in, episode 2 I liked more than episode 1. I didn't like the way episode 2 ended with the White Dragon stuff. I really thought that we should have put that White Dragon stuff maybe before even Leota's stuff and Kia's stuff at the end here, because that's basically how it all ends. I think we would have been better off like ending it somewhere else than the White Dragon, because God, he's just a tough hang. I hate him. But to Robert Patrick's defense, like, he's playing the character great, man. He's a great actor. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to pull those strings to make you think and stuff, and that's what he's doing in this. And like, he's made me think that I don't like that character. But either way, I'm gonna keep it going. Like I said, I'm gonna watch all 8 episodes. If they end up renewing Peacemaker for season 2 or something like that, I'll decide if I go back to it then. But as of right now, episode 1, really tough hang. Episode 2, definitely a lighter hang, a little bit easier hang, but still kind of tough. Thank you for joining me on Superhero Saturday for Peacemaker episode 2. I'm Jimmy Clark with the Triple C Collective. You guys have a great day. Stay safe.